Mysterious rulers buried deep in the desert sands.
This is a secret that's been sitting here for centuries.
Strange anomalies hiding out of sight.
We know there's something down there. The question is what?
Astonishing patterns in forbidding landscapes.
When you stumble across something like this, it's mind-blowing.
A structural icon reimagined from above. Modern technology reveals stunning new clues, uncovering the secrets of the world's most powerful ancient civilizations. Here, in the desert sands of Egypt, in Giza, lies the ancient kingdom of the pharaohs.
It's an unforgiving desert landscape, but through it flows the River Nile. And that's the game changer.
The Nile brings water, and it brings life.
It's the beating heart of one of the world's most famous and ancient civilizations.
But Egypt isn't the only ancient civilization on the banks of this river. Far beyond the realm of Egypt's pharaohs, a mystery lies half hidden in the desert sands.
We're talking the River Nile. We're talking ancient civilizations. This could be something really significant.
This is clearly an ancient site, but who built this and why?
Any archaeologist worth their salt would want to find out what's going on here.
In the middle, a huge pile of rubble and stones. Was this some kind of monument?
It's clearly ancient, although eroded away or dismantled over time.
The question is, what was it?
Around it, the remains of smaller structures. Circles and squares in the desert sands.
They look like the foundations of buildings.
Sealed passageways.
Where do they lead? What's underground?
And inside, secret chambers. Who is this figure that looks like a god?
When you're faced with a mystery like this, you have to try and solve it.
And how does it put one of the most powerful ancient civilizations of all time back on the map?
Discovering a ruin like this, it's like finding a key to unlock the ancient past.
When we think of ancient civilizations, we think of something kind of dead and gone. But we're still learning from these civilizations today.
You can just tell that these places have an incredible story to tell.
Nearly 2,500 years old, the site is known as El Kuru.
From this angle, it almost looks like a blueprint or plan.
But a plan of what?
By flying a drone over the sites and taking hundreds of images, archaeologists get a precise picture or a map of the site.
This complex is vast and sprawling.
But seen from above, there's a distinct pattern with the remains of at least 18 structures laid out in what appear to be rows.
They're clearly arranged very purposefully.
Especially the largest structure.
Look at it from above, and it's a perfect square.
What looks like a big pile of rubble is actually the base of a pyramid.
Rising up to 35 meters in height, the Pyramid of El Kuru is built on a narrow square base.
We're all familiar with the pyramids in Egypt, especially the Great Pyramid of Giza, but this one is different.
It's one of the forgotten wonders of the ancient world.
Very steep and very high.
It's a very distinct shape, totally unique.
Clearly, it's been inspired by what the Egyptians are building, but it's not the same. It's making a statement. It's a statement that says, we are very different from you.
But what of the other structures around it?
Here we are in what looks to be this red desert landscape, but what's really amazing is that there seem to be these ruins of a whole complex of pyramids. We're not talking about just a few, but several.
18 in total, varying in size, but all clustered around the central pyramid.
I think it's really interesting when you look at the Nubian pyramids to see that there's obviously an Egyptian influence, but there's a distinct Nubian influence as well. There's a distinct sense of community that you don't see necessarily with the Egyptian pyramids.
These are really impressive structures. This is an advanced civilization at work.
But just what was this ancient civilization? The story begins 3,000 years ago in northern Sudan with the Kingdom of Kush.
So many times the Kingdom of Kush is just kind of portrayed as, oh, well, that's Egypt's south. But the Kingdom of Kush was a vast kingdom.
It left few written records, only their monuments in the sand.
All along the Nile, you have these pyramid fields.
And in the last 15 years, they've even discovered new pyramids.
There are more pyramids here than there are in the entirety of Egypt.
The scale, extent, and number of pyramids here tell us that the Kushite Empire was incredibly sophisticated, wealthy, and powerful.
So powerful, in fact, that at one time they ruled over Egypt itself. But who were the Kushites? Why did they build these pyramids? And what were they for?
In ancient civilizations the world over, there's one thing more important than what you do during your lifetime. It's what happens to you when you're dead.
This is an ancient burial site.
El Kuru is a necropolis, a vast underground graveyard marked by pyramids.
Essentially, these pyramids are tombstones. These things must have been incredibly important to whoever built them, because it must have required a huge amount of manpower.
Just who was this incredible burial complex for? Although it's now empty, it's thought the main central pyramid was originally meant for a king. But when archaeologists first enter one of the smaller tombs in the early 1900s, they discover it holds a secret.
It's a tomb, but not just any tomb.
Who was buried here?
This is a secret that's been sitting here for centuries.
The first clue that this is an important tomb are these paintings.
What these paintings reveal is a total shock.
It's clearly the tomb of a royal. But the big question is this: which one? And it's not what everyone was expecting.
The answer is surprising.
It isn't a king. It's actually a queen.
It's a woman.
It was thought that pyramids like this were reserved for kings.
Her name is Queen Kelharta, the mother of the king.
When we think of the ancient world, a lot of us think of male leaders, kings who make all the decisions.
This tomb throws that all out the window.
The paintings of Queen Kelharta contain symbols.
This isn't just mere decoration.
They are symbols of authority and military power. Bows, arrows, and spears.
This is a warrior queen.
And she's depicted as the male god Horus.
She's pictured with attributes of sovereignty, royalty, and frankly, masculinity. The symbols hint at the power that a queen can wield in the Kush kingdom.
But just how much power was that? Photogrammetry of El Kuru reveals how the tombs were aligned in relation to the central pyramid.
It's all about location, location, location.
It's the people in power who make the decisions about who is buried here.
In the hierarchy of pyramids, the closer you are to the center, to the king, the more power you have.
The pyramids of Queen Kelharta's father, brother, and son are all by the central pyramid. Hers is on the periphery.
Queen Kelharta had power, but only so much.
But don't forget, the Kushite Empire lasted over 1,000 years. So you've got to ask yourself if there were other queens, and if so, how much power did they have?
25 kilometers further up the Nile from El Kuru is the pyramid site of Nuri. And from above, a revelation. Women's pyramids are no longer on the periphery, but clustered around the king in the center.
This is a brilliant discovery. It indicates a clear leveling of prestige and power over time amongst men and women in the leadership of this kingdom.
The closer they get, the more important they're becoming.
But how important did the Kushite queens become? Further up the Nile lies Meroe.
These ruins were once epic pyramids. They boasted of the wealth and power of this ancient civilization.
Just like El Kuru, the pyramids here are clustered around one large central pyramid. But whose is it?
When we look at the largest pyramid, we find something groundbreaking.
In the art preserved in this tomb, we see a figure with a crown. This is a statement of rank, like a king's crown. The same figure is shown as a warrior subduing their enemies. Again, a classic kingly representation.
But this is no king. It's the pyramid of a queen, Queen Shanakta-Kite.
And she makes history. Shanakta-Kite rules the kingdom as the sole leader. This is the first time that this happens here.
No longer are the women kept at a distance from the men or clustered around the king's central pyramid, because now it's the queen herself who's at the center.
Shenecteh was the Kush kingdom's first independent female ruler, and so perhaps it's no surprise that she allied herself, symbolically speaking, with men. Gender and gender relations are just notoriously difficult to identify in the archaeological record, and that makes this kind of research just invaluable to understanding the past better.
It's incredible. We can see the steady emergence of women in power until they literally take charge.
You could say that she was the first in a long line of powerful Kushite women. She set the bar for the next 1,000 years.
She wasn't the exception. She was the rule.
For more than 2,000 years, the incredible secret of the Kushite queens lay buried beneath the desert sands.
No matter how long ago it was, no matter how far in the ancient past, what happened here was important. It was important then, and it's important now.
Only now, when seen from above, is the mystery solved.
We have the ability to use technology to go back in time and study people from thousands of years ago.
I think a lot of times we think we know everything about the ancient civilizations. We know everything about Egypt and Greece and Roman history, but I feel like there's so much left to discover, and we're seeing that right now.
These royal tombs at Kush have been archaeologically explored for decades, but it was only by pulling back a little bit and looking at the whole picture from above that archaeologists were able to see the orientation of these tombs in relation to one another in a really exciting, altogether revolutionary light.
Across the globe, secrets of the past have been discovered from above. But some ancient civilizations are harder to find. And 13,000 kilometers across the planet, in the barren deserts of New Mexico, there hides something ancient and unseen.
It's this awe-inspiring landscape of deserts and canyons. It's dry, it's arid, and it's full of surprises.
But it's not a place to give up its secrets easily.
Standing on the ground, you see some scrub grass and a nearby base of a sandstone cliff. You'd never guess that there was anything significant here.
It's like drawing a blank until you see the view from above.
When something mysterious appears from beneath the ground, a strange swirl in the desert.
There's something definitely there, but the question is, what?
A rectangular shape beneath the sand.
It's hard to tell if they're random or if there's an actual organizing principle.
Straight lines carved into the bedrock.
Because you can't actually see them on the ground, they could be anything.
And a single perfectly formed circle.
From the surface, you can't even see it.
Are these shapes natural, or are they made by humans?
Why did they disappear?
Is it erosion? Or some kind of disaster or catastrophe?
Or will the archaeological record of one of North America's greatest ancient civilizations have to be rewritten?
There's something there, beneath the ground.
But what? Although almost invisible to the naked eye, these shapes beneath the desert are revealed using thermal imaging cameras.
Thermal imaging has been around for years, but it's only recently that we've had the capacity to send it up into the sky.
And that overhead view reveals things that we just can't see without the help of technology.
Different types of materials absorb and retain heat at differential rates, and this is even visible underground if you've got the correct equipment to record it. And a thermal imaging camera will allow you to do that.
Archaeologists can use this to look for anomalies, features that stand out, things that make you double take and look again.
In the New Mexico desert, archaeologists map the terrain in precise detail. The anomalies buried beneath the desert cover an area more than 2 square kilometers.
So we're talking about a really significant area. Archaeologists call this site Blue Jay.
What do these anomalies at Blue Jay mean?
Does its location provide a clue?
We're in the New Mexico desert, and it had a dark, some would say sinister, history.
If the New Mexico desert is famous for one thing, it's Los Alamos.
A secretive site. It's the birthplace of the atomic bomb.
We still don't really know what exactly goes on in Los Alamos. All we do know is it's one of the top military facilities on the planet.
And further to the south is another clue hiding in the desert.
Today you can see a clear, round mark in the earth. When we look at historical images, it becomes even more pronounced. It looks like some major impact of some kind.
This is the Trinity site. It makes history with the first nuclear bomb explosion.
Could this explain the anomalies discovered at Blue Jay? Could these strange circles in the desert be the result of some kind of impact? Or could the thermal anomalies be caused by some kind of radiation?
There's no record of the site having been bombed, and the location has none of the impenetrable security surrounding White Sands or Los Alamos to this day.
It also lacks a key chemical signature of a nuclear explosion.
Trinitite is a kind of strange glass created by a nuclear explosion, both from the materials in the sand and in the bomb itself.
There's no Trinitite here, so there was no nuclear explosion.
If these markings are not from the recent past, what are they? Who made them, and when?
You've got to remember that the nuclear scientists were not the first people to set up shop here in the desert. There were people long before them. One possibility is early Spanish settlements.
The Spanish settled in what we today call New Mexico in 1599. So that was 20 years before the Pilgrims landed in New England.
Could this be a site of human habitation? A village that has been buried by the desert?
But the historical records of European settlement draw a blank.
The Spanish monks keep detailed records of all their missions and settlements, and we don't see any mention of a village here.
In which case, are we seeing traces of something even older? Are we seeing remnants that have been left behind by people who were here before the Spanish came?
Before the Europeans came, indigenous people have been living in these lands for thousands of years.
Could Blue Jay be an ancient indigenous site?
Looking at the shapes in the thermal images, the circles and the angles and how they're arranged, they make me think of ancient house foundations.
But who was building in this desert, and why?
These lands weren't empty before the Europeans turned up. The idea that the Europeans discover these lands is complete nonsense.
The thermal imaging pinpoints exactly where the archaeologists should dig.
What they find here is absolutely incredible.
Straight lines hidden beneath the surface are now revealed.
I'm seeing what appears to be almost a walled-in structure.
Swirls beneath the sand become visible.
So these are clearly walls. So this is a building.
Hidden structures emerge into the light of day.
And they match the thermal images to a T.
And that begs the question, when was this built? And why here?
70 kilometers to the north of the Blue Jay site is a clue called Chaco Canyon.
These are what remain of an incredible culture known as the ancestral Puebloans, and their architecture is truly amazing.
This ancient culture is absolutely magnificent.
It's an ancient civilization which flourished long before the Spanish arrived.
These are astonishing people. And of course, what they're also good at is building.
The ancient Puebloan culture goes back centuries and blossoms here in Chaco around 850 AD.
It's home to the biggest collection of ruins in the US predating Columbus.
It's a real sight to behold.
A sophisticated and complex culture, they achieved astonishing feats of architecture, even in the harshest of environments.
The people have long since abandoned the buildings, but what we can marvel at is what they left behind.
These buildings are monumental. Several stories, hundreds of rooms. This is architecture on a truly grand scale.
The ruins here are dazzling. What might be the most spectacular is their sheer number. We're talking about 4,000 prehistoric and early historic sites.
I'm really taken aback by the scale of ambition in the middle of what looks like an extremely barren desert.
And it's not just buildings, but also a network of roads that rivals any ancient civilization of its day.
The road network covers a whopping 400 miles.
I think this is really an incredible feat of engineering, over 1,000 years old.
The Blue Jay site is on the outer edge of this road network. Was it part of the Chaco Canyon Puebloan culture?
It's certainly compelling evidence, but there's one piece of that puzzle we still need to find.
Do the ruins at the Blue Jay site match any of the buildings at Chaco Canyon?
One of the most notable features of Chaco architecture are what's known as Great Kivas.
Great kivas are subterranean, round rooms with specific design features that play a crucial role in this society as a dedicated space for important spiritual ceremonies.
Is there anything similar at Blue Jay?
The key here is to match a signature in the thermal images with the buildings that we can actually see at Chaco Canyon.
If we look closely at one of the thermal images, we can see signs of a circular subterranean structure.
At about 10 meters in diameter, it's about the right shape for a great kiva.
If the archaeologists are right, the ancestral Puebloan culture of Chaco Canyon stretched even further than anyone imagined, with scores of outlying settlements across an area measuring more than 160,000 square kilometers.
Whatever you might have thought about the ancient world, think again. This is a sophisticated, complex culture.
But when we realize that this site is even bigger and more established than we originally thought, we have to wonder, where did they go? And why? People don't just vanish. Something must have happened to force them out.
So what happened to the ancestral Puebloan culture? Why was this place abandoned?
Like so many ancient cultures, they left few written records. So in order to solve the mystery, we have to look at the archaeological evidence for more clues.
But this time, the clues are not in the buildings or the roads, but in nature itself. By examining ancient tree rings, scientists discover what they call the Great Drought at the end of the 13th century.
It's so bad that in some areas it looks like no rain at all fell for over 20 years. So of course that's going to be absolutely devastating to their crops.
Which meant about 800 years ago, Chaco Canyon and the Blue Jay site were gradually abandoned.
But the ancestral Puebloans didn't simply just kind of vanish. They migrated.
Many modern Puebloans trace their roots back to these ancient ruins.
With traditions that stretch back centuries, the secrets of civilizations like the ancestral Puebloans are hidden beneath the earth.
I think it's really interesting that, especially as an American, we think we know everything about our land. We think we figured it out. But I think there's so much that we can learn from indigenous history.
It's only when we start looking at these old abandoned sites from above that we really can uncover a lot more about their history that's been hidden and forgotten about for centuries.
Based on evidence that was gathered from above, it has allowed us to entirely reshape our understanding and interpretation of the civilization that once lived there.
This new research, based on work from the sky, proves how grossly we underestimated the scope and complexity of this ancient civilization.
I think it's important to not underestimate the skill and the fortitude it would take to build this community. They're working to create their civilization within the location that they're at. With this, it was the hot desert. But I think that's something that we can learn from. Instead of trying to force something on the earth, what can we learn if we worked with it?
We have so many new technologies today, but the wisdom accrued by our ancestors is still valid and ours for the taking if we only inquire deeply enough.
Around the world, ancient civilizations have left clues to the past, mysteries which are revealed from above. And thousands of kilometers away are the Andes, the longest continental mountain range on the planet. On the western flank in the Peruvian foothills, a secret hides in plain sight.
This is a rugged and barren landscape.
It's one of the driest places on Earth that can go for hundreds of years without seeing a single drop of rain.
It's as remote as they come, trapped between the mountain and the sea.
It's about as close to being on another planet as you can experience here on Earth.
In a remote valley, archaeologists stumble upon a strange formation etched into the arid landscape.
This figure carved into the mountainside is absolutely massive.
Multiple lines stretch 70 meters across half an acre of barren hillside.
For hundreds of years, we had no idea it was there. Not a clue.
It's obviously been deliberately put there, but it's very hard to work out exactly what it is. It's basically a bit of a mystery.
The lines intersect to form distinct formations and definite patterns.
You get a first glimpse and you're thinking, what is going on?
Shapes that look like an eye, an arm, a human face.
It's like nothing I've ever seen, anywhere.
What does it represent?
Is it some kind of animal or a god?
It's a pretty kind of powerful, moody, intimidating kind of presence.
Scary, even.
Why is it here?
What possible reason could there be to mark out the desert in this particular way?
And what meaning could it have?
Someone is making a really big statement here.
The question is, what are they saying, and who's saying it?
The mystery begins with a chance find, an aerial photograph from the 1960s discovered in the archives.
This photo taken by German archaeologists in the 1960s shows a figure carved into a hillside.
Called a geoglyph, for the rest of the world, this photo provided the first glimpse of something previously unknown.
When you stumble across something like this, it's mind-blowing.
When I saw the picture, I was very excited because I never saw a geoglyph like this. It looks very huge. It was impressive.
But in the vast expanse of the Peruvian desert, where could it be found?
You have a photo here from the 1960s, but absolutely no idea where it was taken. You've got to remember, this was long before GPS.
The records are really vague about exactly where this image was taken.
Talk about trying to find a needle in a haystack. He only had a single photograph.
How do you know where to even begin?
But could other large-scale works stretching across the Peruvian desert landscape provide a clue?
The Nazca Lines are one of the most mysterious man-made features you'll find anywhere on the planet.
If you can imagine a portal into the past, journeying back to an ancient time, this is the place.
Created by the Nazca civilization around 2,000 years ago, at ground level, the shapes they make are indistinguishable. Only from above is their mystery revealed.
And that's astonishing. Back then, no one would have seen them from above.
I have personally experienced the Nazca Lines from above, flying in a small plane. To think that these were built by people who never even saw an aerial view of what they were constructing absolutely blew my mind.
Is the image in this old photograph connected to the Nazca Lines and geoglyphs? And if so, where is it located?
The first thing that I did was go to the field to walk around the hills in the area where the data in the picture was indicating. But I couldn't find the figure.
The best way is to take to the skies and search from above.
I go into the Google Earth and span the area where I was looking, and that was the solution.
When they widen their net, they find something surprising.
After being lost to the outside world for centuries and eroded by time, its faint outline is discovered in the Palpa Valley, just 25 kilometers from the Nazca Desert. Could this geoglyph be related to the Nazca Lines?
When you look at them from above, there are basically two kinds of geoglyphs. There are geometric shapes,
These perfectly straight lines sprawling off across the horizon.
and then there are recognizable animal shapes.
The hummingbird, the tarantula, the monkey.
But the hillside geoglyph's faint outline defies description.
I can see what appears to be a large eye.
It looks like there are arms holding a human head or something. It makes sense to wonder if the big creature is a Nazca work that hasn't been seen in decades.
But there's one big difference: their location.
This is really quite weird because the Nazca Lines are, of course, on flat desert plateaus.
And clearly made to be seen from above. The God's eye view.
Because these geoglyphs were made in huge or large dimension, people think that these figures were made for the gods like an offering.
But this one's quite different. It's on a rolling hillside.
It can be seen from the ground.
This image, which has been hiding for decades, it's on a hillside, so it's meant to be seen by other humans. You've got to ask yourself, who the heck made this?
And it's the scientific analysis that reveals the answer. It predates the Nazca Lines.
It's staggering.
600 years before the Nazca, these mountains were inhabited by a people called the Paracas. And it turns out the geoglyph on the hillside is not their only creation.
Drone flights over the hills reveal hundreds more hillside geoglyphs here.
These hills are literally covered with geoglyphs that we never knew were there.
But the newly found geoglyph on the hill remains a mystery. What exactly is it?
The figure was not completely visible. Many parts was eroded by the pass of the time. It was not easy to look the completely shape or feature of the figure, we realize it needs to clean.
As the debris is cleared from the lines etched in the earth, archaeologists reveal the geoglyph in all its pristine glory for the first time in centuries.
I can see fins and what appears to be like a tail or fluke. There's a large mouth with lots of teeth in it.
It's an orca, a killer whale, no doubt about it.
Why this shape? Why an orca?
It really makes you wonder, who made this and why did they make it? I want to know, what does the orca actually mean?
The representation of the orca in the middle of the desert could be a little bit strange because we are more or less 50 or 60 kilometers far from the coast.
We are miles from the coast. What's a killer whale doing in the middle of the desert?
It's like trying to decode an unknown language. We know it means something, but what?
Is there a clue inside the orca itself?
The orca is represented with a human hen holding a human choppy head.
It's a shocking image. Is there an innocent explanation?
Probably fishermen have contact with orcas in different times in the sea, and they were eaten by the orca. Sometimes people represent what happened.
Or is there another explanation for the orca geoglyph's severed heads?
Some historians, and indeed some archaeologists, believe that those could indicate either trophies of war or perhaps some other religious purpose.
They could be sacrificial victims or even people's ancestors. To be honest, at this stage, we just don't know.
The true meaning of this ancient geoglyph may be lost in the sands of time, but for archaeologists, it uncovers a missing link between two ancient civilizations, the Nazca and the Paracas.
A long tradition starts in that time with Paracas people, and they developed little by little until this particular transition period between Paracas and Nazca, where many geoglyphs were made on the slopes and start to go in the flat areas. That is the beginning.
It's an orca on a hill, but it's also way more than that.
It's one of the earliest known geoglyphs by the Paracas, and hundreds of years later would set the stage for one of the greatest art and cultural projects of all time, the Nazca Lines.
This design almost feels kind of like a letter to the future, that these people remained. It's a reminder to the world, we were here. This is what we were about. And to this day, we can see that. We can take a glimpse into their life just from seeing these lines in the land.
It's amazing to find connections like this, because what it helps us do is to understand the evolution of cultures in this area.
In ancient civilizations, before there were words, there were symbols, and understanding them is a key to the past. Symbols are so full of mystery. They contain so much information, but often we require so much context just in order to be able to understand them.
Whatever the reason these geoglyphs were created in the past, they clearly were really important to the people who allocated time and resources to make them. They would have required a great deal of concerted effort and cooperation.
What I always marvel at is the skill and planning it must have taken to make all these lines add up to a comprehensible image that is so large.
We might not be able to interpret all of its mysteries, but we can see history at work here, playing out in front of our eyes 2,000 years later.
Ruins and relics of ancient civilizations have been discovered all over the planet, sometimes in the most unexpected of places. On the opposite side of the world in Cambodia, the dense canopy of the jungle hides an ancient secret.
In the middle of the Cambodian jungle, you have Angkor Wat, one of the most iconic and famous sites on the planet.
It's a mysterious place. Giant stone towers, elaborate statues and wall decorations.
You've got the Great Pyramids, the Roman Colosseum, the Great Wall of China. Angkor Wat is right up there with the greats.
But there's more to Angkor Wat, much more than meets the eye.
This is an incredibly impressive temple complex. But what's even more stunning about it is that it seems to be plunked in this deep, dense forest.
Instead of looking up at the temple all this time, we should have been looking down.
But archaeologists have long suspected there must be more to Angkor Wat than just one temple. So in 2012, they begin to investigate using LiDAR to reveal what lies beneath the tree canopy, hidden in the ground. What they discover is more than they bargained for.
There's a temple, and then suddenly, you see so much more.
No longer jungle, but astonishing patterns etched into the ground.
And it's absolutely huge. It covers over 400 acres. I mean, that's over 150 soccer pitches. It's big.
This is a massive complex.
What are these mysterious shapes buried beneath the trees?
It's simply stunning. And for archaeologists and historians, it's an intriguing puzzle.
This is a total game changer. What we've got to do is to rethink everything we know about this site and this civilization.
And why did people think it had vanished into the jungle?
Until it was revealed, we never even thought to ask the question.
This completely rewrites history. It's one of the biggest discoveries of the century.
Originally a Hindu temple, Angkor Wat was the jewel of the Khmer Empire. After it was abandoned more than 600 years ago, some believe it was lost to the outside world, swallowed by the jungle. But was there more to Angkor Wat than just this temple?
Throughout history, once thriving cities have been abandoned. I mean, you've just got to think of, say, Machu Picchu in the Peruvian Andes, or the lost Mayan cities of Central America, or then again Petra in the Middle East. All these places are only rediscovered by the outside world hundreds of years later.
The temple of Angkor Wat was never abandoned, but did it always stand alone?
What we need is a fresh perspective, looking down from above with something that can see through the dense plant life.
Using LiDAR technology, lasers strip away the layers of vegetation to reveal features hidden on the ground.
It looks like some kind of organized network.
You can see this kind of city block grid pattern.
You could be looking at the Manhattan street grid. It's that precise.
Could this be the remains of a lost city hiding beneath the ground?
Researchers have been digging around the site looking for clues in the forest for years, but dense vegetation is making it incredibly difficult.
But by using LiDAR, archaeologists can pinpoint the anomalies on the ground exactly.
The lasers can penetrate the vegetation and take measurements of the ground beneath.
It immediately gives researchers a place to look for clues on the ground. When archaeologists investigate, they find traces of ancient homes.
Because they were built of wood, these houses have long since rotted away, but there are still traces of post holes where they were supported on stilts.
To avoid flooding, homes were built on stilts. And in Cambodia today, they still are.
What LiDAR reveals is the outline of streets lined with houses.
All of this hidden beneath the jungle.
A temple of this size and elaborate style isn't in the middle of nowhere. It lives at the heart of a vibrant community.
But just how big was the community around Angkor Wat?
It turns out this was only the beginning. The more archaeologists look, the more they discover.
The further LiDAR penetrates the jungle, the bigger the city becomes.
It's the most extensive archaeological survey ever conducted.
LiDAR discovers the site sprawls over 3,000 square kilometers.
This is unbelievably huge.
That's almost 3 times bigger than Los Angeles in the jungle.
Suddenly, everything we thought we knew about Angkor Wat has to be reconsidered.
With this new view from above, we find what is likely the first low-density megacity in the world. It's just amazing.
Archaeologists calculate the population of this megacity was nearly 1 million people.
That makes Angkor one of the largest cities on Earth during this period.
But LiDAR has even more surprises to reveal beneath the jungle.
We already knew Angkor Wat was big, but how much bigger can it really get?
But LiDAR isn't yet done with Angkor Wat, because the biggest discoveries are yet to come.
100 kilometers east of Angkor Wat are the remains of another ancient site.
We thought this was just a temple, and a way station on a road to Angkor, sparsely populated.
LiDAR reveals it's anything but.
You can see this kind of city block grid pattern with the round mounds, just like at Angkor. It covers a whole square, about 5 by 5 kilometers in size. This is a whole lost city. It's absolutely an amazing find.
And it's only one of many.
Connected to Angkor by a series of roads are other ancient Khmer ruins.
More than 600 years ago, Angkor Wat was at the center of a vast interconnected empire which ruled over a swath of Southeast Asia.
This was an ancient empire second to none.
And it's not only cities that are revealed. Around the Temple of Angkor Wat, LiDAR reveals a network of reservoirs.
The LiDAR shows a precise and elaborate water management system.
And the reservoirs are connected by an extensive system of canals and moats.
This is technology we didn't even think existed until hundreds of years later. And the scale of it is just massive.
Across the globe, from Suzhou in China to Venice in Europe, cities throughout history have been built on water. But the discoveries in Cambodia are taking it to a whole new level.
It shows the extraordinary sophistication of the Khmer civilization. Water equaled life.
And just as today, water management is vital to the production of rice, so it was for the Khmer Empire, which created this vast network of reservoirs and canals.
These all combine to create a precise means of irrigating crops to feed the massive population.
When you've got 1 million people to feed and water, you need to be highly organized.
But why did all this vanish?
The high-tech waterways themselves may hold the answer.
There's evidence for significant changes in the local climate, with long and heavy rainy seasons, followed by extreme, prolonged droughts.
These complex waterways require constant upkeep. They're very precise at the best of times. With all this massive weather changes, it's impossible to cope.
From the 14th century onwards, the Khmer Empire slowly declined. The people who once lived here migrated to other parts of Cambodia, leaving the city that once stood around Angkor Wat to be swallowed by the jungle.
Jungles reclaim the cities, and the homes of the everyday people, just made out of wood and earth, they all disappear.
But the temple was never forgotten and has always been a vital part of Cambodian culture.
On the temple walls, there are faint traces of graffiti from all the pilgrims who have visited over the centuries.
People have always been drawn here.
It's still a site of religious pilgrimage today.
We have so much to discover and so much to learn from ancient civilizations. The challenges they faced, the problems they overcame, are so similar to the ones we have today.
An ancient site viewed from above, whose history has been rewritten by 21st century technology.
This research adds really immeasurably to our understanding of not just the scope and the scale of urban living at Angkor during this time, but it also acts as a bit of a cautionary tale to those of us today with urban environments that are threatened not just by encroaching climate change, but potentially by overreaching and exacerbating the climate changes that are already upon us.
It's a mistake if we think these ancient civilizations somehow failed, that these places were abandoned and the people simply vanished. These places were alive, vibrant with life and people. And it's up to us to discover who they were, what they achieved, what were their hopes and dreams.
It's really exciting to think about the secrets that are out there if we just dig deeply enough.
From the sands of northeastern Africa, to the foothills of the Peruvian Andes, to the rainforests of Cambodia, a view from above can tell us surprising secrets and change everything we thought we knew about ancient civilizations.